Hi everyone, welcome to Eating Secret. Today we are making flirtatious cupcake. No, not cupcakes, bath bombs. I've lost the plot, as usual. So this is our mixture, already mixed in the mixer. And we've got in here 10 cups like this. It's not a cup measure, it's just a cup, so you could use any cup. Because it's so easy to do the ratios. We've got 10 cups of bicarb, 5 cups of citric acid and 1.5 cups of SLSA to make the bubbles. All of our bath bombs are bubble bath bombs at the moment. We're going to divide the mixture between these two jugs. And these are what I use for nearly all of the bath bombs. Now the bottom of the bath bomb is pink and the top is purple with a little rose in there. So the top part, I don't need as much purple as pink. I need a lot more pink than the purple. So I take by eye out what I think is about 1/3 of the mixture, and I pop that in there, and then I scrape what's left to make sure I've got everything off the bottom, because in the Hobart mixers, when you're mixing, it tends to not mix just in the dip part. So I'm just scraping that off and mixing it in, and we're just going to tip all of that into there. And if you have a look in the bottom, you'll see what I mean. That's just some bicarb, because I always put the bicarb in first. I'll just pop that in there as well. Now I've got too much. I didn't measure 1/3 out well, so I'm going to put a few more spoonfuls into the small container. And for this bath bomb, I do use mica. Now, not all micas are suitable for bath bombs, because some micas leave well, it is a stain on your bath. It does come off after a few baths, but you really need a mica or any colour to rinse away in the bath after you've had a bath, because our customers don't like having a stained bath, trust me. Although bath bombs are messy, they need to rinse away well. So it just takes a bit of practice, a bit of testing and trial to find out which micas are going to work. So in the top, we're going to put 1 teaspoonful of purple. And in the bottom, 1 heaped teaspoonful and a half, 1.5 teaspoonfuls of the pink. And while I mix that in, the mixer is going to be a little bit noisy, so you just need a hand blender to do this. Of course, if you're not mixing in a big Hobart mixer and you just want to make a couple of bath bombs, you would just pour 2 cups of bicarb to 1 cup of citric acid and a little bit of SLSA. Which you can easily do in a bowl. Now we seem to have some white bits in this mixture, which means some of the powder hasn't ground up properly. So we're just going to give that a good scrape off the bottom. Yeah, some of them are a little bit hard, so I'm just taking those out. Right, okay. So we'll just give that a little mix. Of course, if you sieve it, you'll get rid of those lumps. So we need a little bit more of the purple here. I should have sieved it. I usually sieve it, but because I'm doing a video, I forgot to. It's a little bit pale, but the colour will deepen when you put your liquid in, whether you're using witch hazel or water. It'll deepen. Okay, so we have a bottle of witch hazel here. You can use water. I find that water binds the bath bomb together better than witch hazel does. So if you're wanting to ship a lot, I would use water if I was you, or a mixture of both. But it doesn't matter, it really doesn't matter. Depending on where you are in the world and the weather, again, you might not use as much liquid as I have to use. It's just a case of trial and error and testing and seeing what works. Now, what I will say is you do need a good amount of the liquid, and the reason is because it needs to fizz slightly, so that the fizzing action binds the bath bomb together, but not too much, because then it won't fizz as well in the bath. So you might think that I use quite a lot of liquid, but this is the amount that I need for me. So in the purple, I'm going to put start with 8 sprays of the liquid. That was 8, and then we're going to mix it in. And you just get it out and squeeze it together. It doesn't quite feel wet enough, so I'm going to put 2 more sprays in. 3. And you might wonder why I don't put the water or the witch hazel in the Hobart mixer. It seems to evaporate whatever liquid you put in there, so by the time you put it in here, your mix is drying already, and it must be because it's mixing so much air. It's like having a window open, it dries it off. So I never put the liquid in the big Hobart mix, I always do it in here. So we put 16 in this one, because we've got double the amount. Now you must make sure that your water is well mixed in. I'm just going to give another couple of sprays, maybe 3, and mix that in. As I say, you'll find out how much liquid is suitable for you wherever you are, because if you put too much in, you'll end up with little fizzy bits all over the bath bomb that are like crunchy bobbles, and if you don't put enough in, when you unmould or you squeeze the bath bomb, it'll just burst back into powder. So we're ready to go. I've got my wafer flowers here. And I also need my glitter. I need a spoon. And then off we go. We're just going to pop some glitter in there. One of the flowers. A spoonful and a half of the purple, and I'm just going to squash it down. This keeps the flower in place. And then squeeze, you twist and squeeze. It doesn't have to be hard, you know, hard. You're not trying to get as much powder in there as possible. It needs to be fairly loose, because the more you squeeze in, the harder it is to unmould. And again, if you don't put enough in, it'll probably break. So I'm not giving full power pressure, I'm just twisting and pushing lightly. Actually, I always give it a little bit of a tap, which I forgot to do with the first one. It just loosens it away from the mould. Mould now. When you're storing these after you've made them, it's best to store them somewhere very cool. If you store them somewhere warm, they tend to want to expand and they could split or crack. So at this time of the year, I put them outside as long as it's not wet. If it is wet, I'll just put them in my pot until they're dried and ready to unmould. Some people put them in the fridge. If you've got a spare fridge, put them in a fridge or just any cold room, a shed or anything like that, as long as it's not damp. So we've got quite a few to unmould now, and I'll just give them a little bit of a tap. You can see the rose in the top, it always has some little bits in, so I'll just shuffle it out, and that's one perfect bath bomb. That's number 2 with a blue flower. There you go. That's well, it's actually 3 batches.